Okay, so what I'm going to talk about is I am going to talk about content planning, a lot of the stuff that's been touched on already by Craig, and also reinforcing the fact that not everyone has a massive budget, even big brand names like Macmillan. He's doing a million other things in his job, and social media is just part of that. That is the reality for most charities in Scotland. Most charities don't have a digital team. Most charities don't have a digital manager or a single digital person working there. So thinking about realistically what can be done within your organisation. You don't have a big budget and you don't have capacity. So I'm going to chat about some content ideas. Before I do this, very old school website. I'm showing my age here. Delicious. Has anyone used this or remembers this? Is anyone else in their 30s like me? Yep, so that's some other people are. Very old school bookmarking site. So all the resources that I use for workshops and talks, I've gathered them up on this site over the years. There's about 3,000 links in there. So if you're looking for case studies and using Snapchat for a non-profit, or you need to give members of staff a guide to using LinkedIn within their charity, you just click the specific tags and it'll take you through to that specific resource. The other thing we've done, seeing as none of you work for charities, you will have no bonus points for anyone who can tell me what Oscar is. Well, shut up.
Scottish Charity Register.
Right, close. That'll do. That'll do. It's the best we're going to get, let's be honest. It's the Office for Scottish Charity Regulator. So we've written some guides for them. So I'm guessing most of you work in digital agencies. Is that why you're here? What do you do? Do all your jobs? Does anyone have a job? No, right. We're all unemployed. Excellent. Okay. So. If we've written these guides to the Office of the Scottish Charity Regulator, if you're working with charities within your organisation, or for the 5 of you who do work within charities, we've written these guides which take organisations through from the early steps of goal setting and setting up a strategy, through to content planning, through to policy work. The policy stuff is probably the most powerful, where I spent the last year harassing a bunch of charities and getting them to open source their own internal policies. So you can go in there, there's ones from quite small community groups right up to big international NGOs who have all basically given their policies to be used and adapted by other organisations. So it's quite a good resource. That was my shameless plug over with. So, 3 things in my mind that I think every charity needs, even if it is written on a post-it note. One is a strategy, so some idea of why they're doing this stuff in the first place. So Craig obviously hammering home the fact that this is about Macmillan getting their job done. This is not about a marketing exercise, it's not about communications, it's about how do Macmillan get their job done and not losing sight of that. Having a content plan, so you might have good intentions, but if your daily content is dull as dishwater, nobody's going to engage with it. You're not going to increase your fundraising, you're not going to increase people using your service. And number 3, a policy that protects your staff and your volunteers in your organisation. So for me, that's the 3 things every organisation should have. Given that most of you work in digital, this slide is like preaching to the converted, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. For charities trying to get their head around how people in reality use Facebook and how Facebook's EdgeRank algorithm delivers content to people's personal timelines, I think is so important that so many charities still think, well, we've got 5,000 likes on our Facebook page, we put up one of our dull, tedious posts, suddenly 5,000 people are going to see that content. Now, for you working in agencies and for the handful of you working in charities, getting your head around the fact that the average person's got 1,500 potential newsfeed stories, only about 20% of them are going to make the cut on a daily basis, which is why content is so important. If you ignore everything I say, which is not unusual, just write down this sentence so people on social media channels engage with content that's either interesting or useful to them. And for me, a lot of people don't tick either of those 2 boxes when they're thinking about content in their channels. So, some really simple content ideas, and then I will shut up and stop offending people. Number 1. Ask questions, understand your users, spark debate. And for me, this is a really good example of a low-budget campaign, not just because I worked in it, but because it's something that had a really, really simple idea, but really effective outcomes off the back of it. So the law changed, I'm going to bore you with some stuff just now. The law changed in England and Wales a couple of years ago. If your separated parents go into court over a child custody dispute, you now by law have to go and find out if mediation would be more appropriate for your circumstances. The law changed in Northern Ireland as well. The law didn't change in Scotland. Now, Chief Exec of this charity, Relationship Scotland, so the equivalent of Relate North of the Border, wrote an article for the Scotsman talking about why he thinks the law should change. Now, at this point, what the charity didn't have any grasp on is what ordinary Scottish parents thought about this. So, really simple idea. Created this graphic on canva.com. Took about 10 seconds to do. It was a template. whacked in the question, and we kept it as a closed question because we knew they'd be much more likely to elicit a response. So should mediation be compulsory for separating parents? We didn't expect people to go and read a 751 Scotsman article and then come back and offer their thoughts. We didn't dump a 751 Scotsman article on the Facebook page. Now at this point in time, that page only had about 500 likes on it. That was shared quite a few times, had a reasonable amount of likes on it. 12,500 people saw that post over 2 days because parents could easily get involved in that conversation and were sharing that content. So that ability to break out, you might have a tiny amount of people who like your page or follow you on Twitter, that ability to break out with good content. For me, the 12,500 people reached aside. The comments were the most powerful bit of it. So at this point, Charity really had no notion of what the general public thought. And off the back of this, we got some really detailed responses from people. So it's a closed question. People could have just said yes or no. And ones like this guy, Barry Evans, no, it's not always necessary. Been a single parent for over 12 years. We didn't agree immediately. We're still able to agree terms without outside help. And we found the public split pretty much 50-50 on this piece of legislation. Now, if we tried to do this in real life, we'd probably had to go and hire lots of rooms, probably similar size to this, in Inverness, Glasgow, Aberdeen, Edinburgh. We'd have to bribe people to come along with high street vouchers. We'd have to pay for childcare and pay for travel, pay for the lunch. That same exercise of getting 40 detailed responses from ordinary parents would have cost thousands of pounds. So again, the same stuff that Craig was talking about before, how do you get your job done doing this stuff? How does this develop your organisation? Number 2, become a master storyteller using video and audio content. And this isn't a video, we're going to listen to a bit of audio. For me, this is one of the best examples of really simple, rough around the edges audio as a storytelling mechanism. So this is from a woman called Summer Puente. Has anyone heard this before? So this got shared quite a couple of years back. She did a college project where she was trying to tell the story of her dad and why she thinks her dad is the best man in the world. Really simple concepts, only about a minute long. The quality of it is bordering on abysmal, but it is a good example of where actually the quality isn't important, the story that you're trying to tell is most important. So, as if by magic.
This photo is the root of a much bigger project I'm currently working on. But I needed somewhere to start, and if I tackle it in smaller bits, it will be much easier to put together what I've got so far and not overwhelm my heart so much. This is my dad. With him is my eldest sister, Sonny. She's fought her way through 25 years on this earth and found herself with the great fortune of a loving family. My dad works a full-time job he hates, and every day he comes home and gets to work his other full-time, thankless job. He gets to be the caretaker for my sister. She's got the cognitive ability of a 2 or 3-year-old with limited speech and mobility and function, like a baby trapped within the temperament of a toddler and in the body of a young woman. They eat dinner in this big chair in front of the TV and fall asleep together every night. I made the hard decision to move home from across the country and have stumbled across these quiet moments of my father. He's the kind of man that had a family young. He's always worked whatever jobs he must. He's been sober for 23 years and a single dad for 13. He's one of those remarkable people who's suffered more than they deserve, yet continues to love unconditionally. I'm one of his daughters, and there are fewer things in this world I'm prouder to be.
What do people think about them? I'm guessing by your silence it did something, or you want to go off the stage. I don't know which of those it is. Okay. For me, I personally don't think that would have worked as well if it had been video content. I don't know if other people agree. For me, you immediately want to listen to the powerful image that accompanies it as well. So, if I can get my clicker to work, take things slightly down to my kind of level, National Hairball Awareness Day. So, do you know, I used this slide recently as something that was tongue-in-cheek, but I was doing a talk at a charity that runs sheltered housing accommodation. They were like, that's very appropriate for our residents, actually. So, you'd never be amazed at what people get excited by. So, the point of this slide is the ability to piggyback on those bigger awareness weeks and months and days events that are out there. So things like Carers Week, for example, which has literally millions of tweets in the UK alone during Carers Week. Radio 2 run an entire programme of stories about Carers Week when it's on. So using this ability to bridge that gap between digital media and traditional, knowing that journalists are using that hashtag and are monitoring it, are looking for interesting stories on it. It's a really good article if you click through. I don't know if the slides are going to get shared, but if you click through talking about how you can piggyback on these big day weeks and months events. Don't do it if you know, I'm probably Macmillan Cancer, probably not going to tie in with National Hairball Awareness Day. So think about the appropriateness of your organisation tying in with certain campaigns. Number 4, really simple one, interview parents, volunteers, young people. So especially using your Facebook page to do this really simple, this is an example from Lush Cosmetics, not from a charity, but I think there's not enough of this within the third sector, being able to tell the story of the service users, but also about those people that are giving up their time as volunteers. Number 5, broken my own rule here, but cats, children and comedy, 3 C's that never fail. This is a good example, not that you all need to get pictures of dogs fighting lobsters with spoons and your content will take care of itself, but when I looked at my analytics, I think this was in December last year, this picture of a dog fighting a lobster with a spoon had more click-throughs than anything else, everything else I'd tweeted in the entire month combined. So if you follow me on Twitter, it's about charities and communications and very serious stuff. Picture of a dog fighting a lobster with a spoon outperformed everything else. So occasionally experiment with content and not always planning everything to the nth degree, because you can't always plan for the stuff that's going to work. User-generated content, gold dust. So this is a good example of a big organisation who's done abysmally in terms of tying that loop with social media. So the National Trust have a big partnership they run with Cadbury's. Has anyone ever been to this? You're all too young to have got a National Trust property. So they have a campaign called the Easter Egg Trail, where Cadbury's give thousands of eggs to every National Trust property, and they use it as a way of engaging young families who don't traditionally sign up for membership of the National Trust. Very simple concept. Now, I did a quick trawl of Instagram. There were tens of thousands of photographs from ordinary parents over that weekend using the official hashtag Easter Egg Trail. Now, what was missing from all of those Instagram photographs, there was not a single person from the National Trust left a comment on any of those photos. They didn't ask this woman here with her picture of her 3 kids with her Cadbury's eggs, what was your favourite thing about coming along to Killeen Castle? Would you think about coming back? Or this woman Hannah who likes taking selfies while she hunts for Easter eggs. Nobody asked Hannah, have you ever thought about being a member of the National Trust? So thinking about how you can engage with user-generated content, especially where it's laid on a plate for you, like that example. Number 7, thank people. And I guess the sub-lesson from this piece of content is using social media as a way of breaking down barriers. So Relationship Scotland, again, we ran a parliamentary event last year. That came about because we sent a tweet to Christine McKelvey, who's an MSP for the SNP, and we said, we want to run a parliamentary event, will you sponsor it? And she said yes. Didn't go to Parliament, have some long-winded meeting with someone, didn't send formal letters, didn't beg her personal secretary on the phone. We sent her a tweet and she agreed to sponsor a parliamentary event. The Minister for Children and Young People was the keynote speaker at the event. She spoke at the event because I sent her a direct message. That's someone at ministerial level in Scotland manages their own Twitter account. For me, and especially for the small amount of charities in the room, it's a really unique opportunity in this country where you can access people at that kind of level in politics who manage their own Twitter accounts. They don't have a digital team of people doing it for them. So use that to your advantage where you can. This is the stickiest stage I've ever been on. It's incredible. Okay, number 8, people love a list. So this is another example of content that doesn't necessarily look like it should fit in the site, but served the purpose of driving traffic to the site. So we came up with this really simple idea of asking ordinary parents, what's your favourite free family day out in Scotland? We got hundreds of responses on Twitter and Facebook, and we collated them up in a top 10 list. Took about half an hour to do. Now, when you searched for a free family day out in Scotland, that was on page 1 of Google for 3 years. It's dropped off now. People that visit Scotland have far more than we do. But we were driving pretty much absolutely huge volume of traffic was coming to the site through that single blog post alone, because we knew that people were making that search term every single day. And if we could drive even a tiny slither of people who came to that blog post who were single dads who then went on to find out about a family mediation project or a child contact centre, then that blog post on 3 family days out in Scotland that was driving all that traffic was absolutely worth the half hour that it took to pull together. Too many charity blogs are basically news sections, and usually news that nobody else wants to see apart from your internal staff team. thinking about how you can get content that genuinely engages with people and that people are actually going to search for. Number 9, don't be afraid to ask for recommendations. This is one that the charity sector are slowly getting their head around. The ones that are doing it well do really good stuff off the back of it. So Peak are a really small youth project in the East End of Glasgow. They've got about 65 five-star reviews on their Facebook page. So if you are a parent in the East End of Glasgow looking to engage with a project, or you have a toddler and you don't know which mums or dads group you're going to go to, and you make a search and you come across the Peak Facebook page, your mind is completely put at ease, because people like this guy David or this guy John have talked about the amazing work that their staff do and amazing services that they provide. Has anyone heard of this platform, Good HQ? No, so this got launched, I think, last week by SCVO. This is going to be, it's in beta stage at the moment, but it's basically a platform where you can rate any registered charity within Scotland. So the idea is it will become TripAdvisor for charities. I don't know how popular it'll get, but it's a really, really interesting concept. So I think peer-to-peer recommendations will become really, really important in the sector. Snapchat. Who has a Snapchat account? One person? 2 people? Jesus Christ. Okay, right, 3 people. Snapchat is a bit of an uneasy, I was going to say bedfellow, that's probably the worst thing to say about Snapchat, an uneasy partner with organisations, and especially in the third sector. It's a bit of a tenuous link. There are some really good examples out there. I wrote a blog post for Just Giving last week, which has got 7 case studies of charities using Snapchat really effectively. RNLI struggle to get young volunteers. They've opened a Snapchat account. They give actual video from on lifeboats, so you can follow them on Snapchat and you can see what's going on an actual lifeboat via live video. It's incredible stuff. It's Amir Khan, the boxer. He has a foundation where he basically, a lot of his own personal wealth, but in this foundation does a lot of work with refugees. If you were following him on Snapchat about a month ago, he was on an island in Greece, and you could basically see refugees on video coming on to the shores with like the kind of rubber rings you would buy in a pound shop. And then talking to those refugees as they were landing, having come from Syria and other countries. It was pretty staggering stuff, but if you think about the difference about trying to get young people to understand the refugee crisis, and you compare Amir Khan's video on Snapchat speaking to actual refugees, or compare that trying to get teenagers to read a 500-word article in The Guardian, you can imagine which of those has more impact. So for me, I think Snapchat will become massively useful for the third sector. Number 11, go where your audiences are. You probably all know this in the room already. There's a big opportunity there. We're so obsessed about setting up a Facebook page and shoehorning lots of our audience onto that Facebook page. Actually, wouldn't it be more effective if we could go to where that audience is? So this housing association down in England learnt this lesson really quickly, where they set up a Facebook page as a way of engaging their tenants. It was like tumbleweed. Their tenants did not want to engage with them on an open and transparent Facebook page that was top-down content coming from their housing association. So now the housing association goes into this young community group, which has about 3,500 of the local people they're trying to connect with, and they post it in there. It is not rocket science, but it's amazing how many organisations do not take this simple step. And then number 12, this is not a charity, but don't take yourself too seriously. It's the last content. Good example of social media being used as a genuine community engagement tool. And some of you have probably seen this tweet before. I got retweeted 22,500 times. If even very conservatively each of these people had 100 followers on Twitter, it's potentially 2.2 million people saw that tweet. There's a real raid that took place in Chelmsley Wood. By injecting a slight bit of humour and tongue-in-cheek humour into that, massively built their reach on that. So a really good Guardian article at the bottom of the guy behind that sort of police account. I was going to say any questions, but I think there's going to be a Q&A or something. Yeah, I'll leave that one. Okay, cool, thank you.